What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Rock with your host, myself, yours truly, at Real Mike Bell, and my co-host here,
Ryan Gass, at Ryan R. Gass.
That's right, Mike and Ryan, and you can find us everywhere. That's all your social media platforms, at Rock Podcast Nation. And let me tell you guys something. If you haven't already, now you know. The website is live, and you should be there. In fact, if you're not there right now, you should leave Spotify, leave iTunes, leave whatever the hell it is you're listening on right now, and head over to the website and listen there. You can find that www.rockpodcastnation.com. And while you're there, make sure that you fill out the subscribe button there. Listen, we're not trying to steal your information. We're not trying to sell your information to anybody else. We hate that shit too. The truth is, we need a way to get a hold of you that is not Facebook. As you know, last episode we talked about it. The censoring is real. So what can we do to avoid that? Well, we stand up a website. We peel off our hard-earned greenbacks to put together a website so that we can get to you easier. Now, Ryan, while they're there, they can find the podcast, they can find our blog, but what else can they do, buddy?
So now they can actually pledge their support and support our mission. They can become a Rock follower, and with that, it is $10 every month. And with that, you get admission to our private Facebook and MeWe groups for all of our supporters. And with that, also, you get access to our premium blogs and show content. With that, also, we have something coming down the pipe in a little bit, and we're going to be releasing the more details on that. But it's going to be called our founding members. And make sure you stay tuned because we're going to release more information on that and how exclusive that actually is.
Yeah, very exclusive. And one thing that we wanted to also mention here, guys, is if you're listening to the show and you like what we're doing and you support our brand, make sure you head over to the website, okay, and become one of our corporate sponsors. There's a lot to that. You could look on the website. It describes it. It tells you what we offer you and how you could help us further our mission. So that's enough talking about the website. You should already be there. You should have already seen that on the social media stuff. Welcome. Welcome back to The Rock, guys. And, you know, the world's crazy. You know, the world continues to be crazy.
Absolutely.
It has never been more crazy than it is today. And we're coming off of the crazy summer of social unrest and the COVID scares and the freaking election and all that other shit. And what seems to be crazy, Ryan, is this. The election's over, but they're still talking about it. Mm-hmm. Social unrest, right? Like, we don't hear really about people burning down the streets anymore. That just kind of, I don't know, kind of just went away. And that's unfortunate because there is a lot there. But you know what we keep hearing about every single day, man?
The vid.
The COVID, right? COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2, whatever the hell you want to call it. It is everywhere. It's present. And it seems like a lot of people have just kind of said, fuck it, I'm going to continue to do me. And, you know, half the people that you see today walking around town a year ago, they would have been hunkered down inside their shelters, right? You know, I tell a story about going to, like, all right, March, shit hit the fan. Right? It was like the second week of March, everything went crazy. You know, 2 weeks to flatten the curve, wear your mask, keep the kids home, don't go anywhere except for, of course, Walmart or Lowe's, right? Because we can't shut that shit down.
Hell no.
You can't shut that shit down. So, you know, we had to like, you know, my wife and I, we have a couple kids here. We fill our pantry. We never run out of toilet paper or paper towels and shit like that because we have kids. We have a couple girls in this house. If you have girls, you know what it's like with paper towels and toilet paper. That shit goes like wildfire. Yep. Well, one day, bro, we ran out of toilet paper and we were down to like our last roll. And this is when COVID really hit home for us. We ran out of toilet paper and was like, well, I guess we better go to the store, get some toilet paper, you know, hopefully it's safe. Hopefully we don't catch the virus because nobody knew at the time. Everyone, like, literally, we thought it was the fucking plague.
Yeah.
So we're like, well, let's run into town and get some toilet paper. We go to town. We actually just go right down the street here to like a grocery store. Guess what? No toilet paper. Like, what the fuck? Like, is an entire aisle that was just empty. No paper plates, no paper towels, no napkins, no toilet paper. We're like, did we miss the boat? And so we end up going all the way down to like BJ's, which is, for those on the West Coast, it's kind of like Sam's Club or Costco. wholesaler. So we go down to BJ's. You know, that's club membership. Like you got to pay to buy their stuff, right?
Exclusive.
Oh yeah, baby. Kind of like Rock Podcast Nation, www. Get over there and find out. But so we go down to BJ's. They're sold out. So we're like, what the hell are we doing? Well, now we're starting to see it on the news. Toilet paper 2020, toilet paper gate 2020. Psychotic, brother. So now I formed like a militia, bro. I formed like a posse of my friends and my family where if anybody saw any toilet paper, like we would call each other up and be like, all right, 0800 tomorrow, meet us at the front door and so, right? Like we would strategize, and all this other shit. And I'm going to tell the story right now. And this is when it really hit home for me, dude. Like the COVID scare really hit home for me. We went to BJ's one day to buy toilet paper and they were out. But then we talked to somebody there and they said, we got a truck coming. We're going to stock some toilet paper tomorrow. Just come back tomorrow, right? And we'll figure it out. So we go, my wife and I, we get up early. We head out the door. We get over there to BJ's and they're having like their senior hours. You know how they did, like everybody was doing, like 7 to 8 a.m. was for seniors and then everybody else could come at 8, right?
Yeah.
And so we get there and we're walking up, you know how the store is, right? Like we park in the parking lot, we're walking up and there's this lady standing at the door. Like she was first in line, right? She's standing there at the door and she has on like this mask. She has on this mask and she has on these rubber gloves, right? And the fear in her eyes, I got scared for her. I'm looking in her eyes, dude. And let me try to paint a picture here. Okay. I try to like, paint a picture with my words here for you and for you guys listening. If you've ever watched on National Geographic or on the Discovery Channel or something like that, and they're in the Serengeti, right? And, that one cool dude, like he's telling the story, like, oh, there's this antelope on the open plains and watch, right? And I'm looking at this lady, dude, and she looks like one of those antelopes that can tell a lion is coming, brother. And she could feel it like out in the Serengeti, right? She could feel like this lion is about to pounce on her, and she has no idea where to go. She's terrified, bro. She has became prey. She's became prey to a virus that nobody knew anything about. Okay. And that terror in her eyes right there, it made it real for me. Because to me at that point, it was really an inconvenience. Like, fuck, my kids are home, but okay, cool. I get to spend more time with my kids. I can't go into the office every day, but all right, cool. Now I don't have to commute 45 minutes every day. I don't have to put pants on. I could wear sweatpants to work. Like, to me, it really hadn't became anything yet. Nobody I knew had caught the virus. Nobody had died from it that I knew. Nobody, everything was just normal, but we were just at home, just being precautious or taking precautions. And it was at that moment that I realized that shit's real. This lady, this terror in her eyes, this is real, And
what time period was this?
Dude, this is the first
March, early March?
Yes. Yeah. This is the first or second week in March when shit was real.
While we're on this, do you ever, like, was that the only time you ever noticed somebody with that type of fear and stuff? You saw that fear in their face? Is that the only time? Or have you seen it a few times in general during that time period, let's just say? Was she unique, or was that like
since COVID or during that time period?
Even that time period in general, let's just say.
All right, so let's back up, right? So second week of March, they sent the kids home. They gave them early spring break. My last day in the office was March 16th. So it had to have been a couple weeks after that. And the week or two leading up to that, we were all in the office and I work in a big building and everybody was talking about, okay, there's this new virus. Nobody really knows a lot about it. We need to start talking about telework, right? And what that's going to look like. But nobody was really scared that I was around. I have, Ryan, as you know, you've been friends with my family for a very long time. I have a sister that's immunocompromised, right? So my parents, my sister's mentally handicapped. She's in her late 30s. She's lived a very hard life. She has like the mentality of a 6-year-old. So she still lives with my parents, and my parents are both in their late 50s. So my parents, who are at that age group, right, they said that they're compromised. My sister's compromised. So they were kind of doing their own thing. They weren't letting us come over. They weren't letting anybody come over, and they weren't leaving. So they were nervous already.
Mm-hmm.
I really wasn't. They had said like, if you're healthy, you don't have anything to worry about, all this stuff. And so, no, I hadn't seen anybody up to that point. I hadn't seen terror in somebody's eyes.
Mm-hmm. Did you see it, like, I guess a few different times over that next month or two, probably?
Yeah, I did.
Now, that month or two, let's say, have you seen that same type of fear in a lot of people's eyes in the last 3 or 4 months even?
No.
Has it died down pretty?
Died down.
Do you think that like a majority of people have came to the same kind of relaxed conclusion that this is not really needing the amount of fear that it once was?
I would say that, yes. But at the time, what it meant to me was this, right? As everybody who listens already knows, right? I have some left-leaning tendencies. I care about what people are feeling around me, right? Because I want the world to be more connected than it is. And at the time, this was, do you remember, like, for me, man, it was like the January 2020 was the month that never ended. It's like, oh, it's just January 2020, right? And it was like one thing after another, and then COVID came and blah, 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 and it just never ended. And it was at that time, like, there was already all this other shit going on, and then COVID came, and this lady, this terror in her eyes. What it made me think was this, Ryan. It doesn't matter what she was afraid of, okay? What matters is that she was afraid.
Yeah.
All right? No, irrational as it may seem to somebody who is a denier, if you will, that fear was real, and I cared for her because of that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I thought that this bitch was fucking wacko, right? I'm sitting there thinking, if you're so scared, why are you out? And here's an analogy I use, brother. If you don't know how to swim, why are you in the ocean?
Yeah.
Okay. If you're scared you're going to die, why aren't you at home? Right. And this is one of those subjects, Ryan, where I'm really split, brother, because as a nation, I think that we should take care of those weakest among us, right? This isn't the strong survive mentality. This isn't Rome. This isn't Sparta, right? This is the United States, who was built on the backs of immigrants and people leaving persecution. We need to bond together and lift each other up. And I'm seeing one of our own groveling in her own fear and misery and terror, brother. I'm telling you, man, I was in the military. I grew up in a very bad situation. I have seen hard shit. All right. I have never seen a look in somebody's eyes like that lady's look of terror. Like, legit, bro. It looked like I Am Legend. Like, people are scared and running around. That's what it looked like. And it made me realize, like, right then and there, that, okay, there is hysteria at work here.
Yeah.
More than just people being worried, like, people are terrified. It's different.
Yeah. I remember actually watching that movie, I Am Legend, back in like April. I'd already seen it before, but it's one that I haven't seen in a while, and I decided to go and watch it again. And, I don't think that I was ever fearful, but there's definitely a time where I was a little bit more concerned, I guess you say, about this whole situation. I'm not concerned at all now, at all. But like, I remember one time I had been out drinking and stuff, and when I drink, I smoke. When I smoke a shit ton. I just chain smoke it. And I remember waking up the next morning and coughing a little bit. And
you thought you had the corona.
And I was like, and honestly, dude, like, seriously, I mean, I was coughing, and like, I felt like whatever, I felt like shit. And I was like, oh God, like, I didn't speak about this. I really haven't spoken about this really before, but I remember for like a day or two there, I was like, shit, do I say something? Do I go get tested? Do I not say something? Do I hang out at the house and possibly get the kids infected and they die next week? Like, it was one of those, like, I'm not gonna lie, that's how it was for a little bit. But within 2 days I was better. That, and I was like, it's probably just all those cigarettes I smoked that night. It's probably that beer.
And nobody knew.
Yeah, nobody knew. But I think a lot of people, despite what the media and the government tries to tell us, I think a lot of people, we know that it's not what it was. It's not what we thought it might be. It wasn't what we thought we didn't know it was, a year ago. I think a lot of people have come to the conclusion that there's a lot more bullshit than there was fact in this. I mean, it's either what are we supposedly up to? 500,000 deaths in the past year, whatever it is.
500,000.
Yeah, related to COVID. But somehow there's been barely any, if at all, deaths related to the flu. So If you believe that there was 500,000 deaths from COVID, then you believe that the flu has been cured. If you don't believe that, then you don't believe there's actually truly 500,000.
Well, hold on now. That might be causation without correlation. Or I'm sorry, correlation without causation. So if you go back a year or 2 years from now, and everybody would have been wearing masks, and restaurants would have been operating at limited capacity, and people would have been practicing more social distancing and washing their hands and doing all the shit that you should have been doing anyways, minus the mask, right? Maybe the flu numbers wouldn't have been so bad, right? And it's really hard. In science, they tell us if you're going to create a correlation between something, right, you could only remove one variable at a time. So because if you change too many things at a time, your analysis of variance becomes way too crazy, right? Your variance gets all over the place. That's like saying this, oh, my car's not starting right now, so let me change all of the gas, put in new spark plugs, let me tune the carburetor, put new seat covers on, and scrape the windows. Which one of those made my car run? Right? You don't know.
Yeah.
So just because the flu cases are down.
So you're proposing that the flu cases are down, not because they've been shifted from the flu being causation to the COVID, but you think it's because people are now washing their hands a little bit more and being a little more hygienic? Possibly.
I would say that in Maryland, 90% of the schools are closed.
Yeah.
And kids, as we all know, are freaking super dirty critters.
Yeah.
I could go all year long without getting sick.
Yeah.
The moment my kid comes home from school, I'm sick again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, there's like these massive. Okay, check it out. When you went through MEPS and then shipped to boot camp, how long until everybody was sick? Because I know it happened, brother.
I think about a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Exactly, because you get all these people together and they're all coming from different places. Yeah. Everybody gets sick. Everybody gets sick, and then everybody's farts start to smell the same. Yeah. Right? And that's just the way it is when you get people together.
Working the kinks out.
Yeah, you're working the kinks out. Yeah. So, if you look at, and I'm just using Maryland as an example here because it's where I live, 90% of the schools are closed, brother. And okay, so that's 90%. Well, let's just say, I'm just going to use that number, and it's kind of pulling it out of my ass here, but 90% of the schools are closed. So that's 90% of the people that aren't transmitting the flu around.
So what we're saying is the states like not California, like Florida and whatnot, that haven't really done those same restrictions, that haven't had the same closures, that are open for business stuff, they should have higher rates of the flu then.
Does Florida normally have higher rates of the flu than other states, like up in the Northeast and the Northwest where it's colder?
I'd have to take a moment and
exactly. I don't know either. I would have to look that up. But what I'm arguing is this, right? There's a whole segment of the population right now that says COVID isn't real. You really just have the flu, but they're calling it COVID so they can get that COVID cash.
Yeah, the COVID cash.
And what I'm saying is that may be true, but let's not put all of our eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Right? You can't just say because flu cases are down that, oh, the flu's gone, or that people are categorizing flu symptoms as having COVID. That may be a possibility, and in fact, that may be a fact. There may be some misdiagnosing going on in some of the cases. But you also have to look at it as there's a whole lot of motherfuckers running around with masks on that are washing their hands, that aren't touching each other in public.
And then you got Ryan Gass.
Right? Like, we talked about this before, Ryan, just before Christmas, you came on the Potso Hardcast. And I asked you then, because I remember seeing you're the king of marketing. And there's PTP, which is your company, right? PTPgun.com.
Yep. There's
PTPgun.com advertising everywhere. Right. And you even it's on the shirt, it's on his truck parked the ROC headquarters. and you had made masks, right? To advertise, because if you have to wear a mask, you might as well advertise. And you said at the time during Christmas, it was a bad decision because you were using it as a means to an end to get advertisement. But at the same time, you were kind of you weren't being true to your values, right?
No, like to a certain extent, I hadn't really established values when it came to or opinion or a thought process when it came to the mask. It was just hey, if everyone's gonna wear that, then it better have my fucking logo on it. Right. But like I've come to I think like a lot of people have, that masks aren't really that necessary. That so now people are gonna associate my brand possibly to this unnecessary article of clothing that is now being forced upon everyone, including but not limited to myself. Like today, I went to the fucking bank. And this is one of the things I thought about for a while, but today it kind of boiled over to a little extent. And today, so I did something that you wouldn't usually do in a normal world, right? So I wore a face cover, and it wasn't a mask per se, but it was actually the shirt. And I was wearing a different shirt, and this shirt was wrapped around my face, and it was cold as shit out, and it was raining, so I put my hood on, and waited outside because they only let you go like one at a time inside the bank and stuff. Long story short, it was my turn. I go inside the bank, and while I'm in the bank, I'm carrying my gun. I'm carrying 2 guns. All right. They're both concealed today. They were concealed. And I'm in the bank carrying 2 guns, wearing a full face covering, wearing a hoodie on, and all they can see is my eyes and my eyebrows. And like I felt suspect as fuck. And I wasn't doing it so much by choice. The hoodie was by choice. They didn't force me to wear the hoodie. But I kind of just forgot to take it off from being out in the cold. But anyway, I'm sitting there and I kind of realized what I'm doing or what I'm in the middle of. And I took a picture, and in the picture, I'm in the middle of a bank with my face fully covered, my nose fully covered, everything like that, minus my eyes and minus my eyebrows.
You look like you're in a hibab, right? Like
yeah,
one
pretty
of those,
much
like a Middle Eastern kind of face garb and head wrap and all that other stuff.
Exactly.
Right?
And one of the thoughts, and I've had this thought before today, but it really kind of boiled over today. I go in there. And today was only a cashier's check, but other days it's been, sometimes cash or even cashier's checks too. But regardless, they gave a person a large cashier's check today. And in the past, cash, and all I had to do that was just give them my ID, an ID that they don't know that was actually mine. I could have given that ID to my brother, or to a friend.
Or I could have knocked your ass out in the parking lot, wrapped a towel around my face, pulled my hoodie up and walked in there with your ID.
Yep. And then you just show them. They don't ask you. I'm telling you, I can tell you because this is what has been my experience. They don't ask you your name. You hand your ID and they look you up and they find you, and they for today, I will say, they said, can you confirm the name of the account? And I just said my company, which is Practical Training Professionals. And they said, okay. And they said, what would you like to do today? And I said, I need to get a cashier's check, blah, 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 blah. And long story short, I got the cashier's check, and I could have been some random person said, yeah, I'd like a cashier's check for ABC. And ABC is this unknown stranger, long story short, I walk out of there and I made a post about it, and I posted it to my Instagram, posted it to Facebook, and I had some guy named Craig from Navy Federal commented on my post on Instagram, was like, hey, we'd like to talk to you more about it. And long story short, man, like I ended up talking to this woman named Whitney from Navy Federal, and long story short, I tried to, further keep on telling her, I explained to her why the security of my business account is compromised. I'm trying to explain to this woman on the phone that works for Navy Federal named Whitney. I'm trying to explain to her like the security of my account, and honestly anyone's account at Navy Federal is not secure. And then she tried to explain, well, they made you put your debit card in and push your PIN in, and that's how they verified your identity. I said, no, they didn't. Because I don't do that. And I've never done that, whether for my personal account or my professional account. And she said, no, we got you on security film, and I watched you do it. I'm like, no, you fucking didn't. Because I swear to you, I swear my children, I did not do that. And I never do that. I never put my PIN in because I always forget, honestly. I don't use my credit card or my debit card for my company or my personal side. I don't ever use it as a ATM, like a debit card to pull money out of that. So I don't use my PIN often, so I don't remember my PIN is. So I gave up on the whole fact of put my card in or trying to remember my PIN, and they say, I'll reset your PIN for you today.
Let me level set.
Yeah.
So you go to Navy Federal today, which is a bank over here on anywhere around your Navy base. You're going to have a Navy Federal account or a bank. So you go to Navy Federal.
Yeah.
Your face is covered. Your head is covered. Yes. And unknowingly to everyone around you, you're carrying 2 firearms.
Yeah, if you want to see how I looked, I'll post the picture to the ROC Podcast Nation Instagram page. So you go over there and check it out, and I'll show you exactly what I looked like in the bank.
So you walk into the bank. Yeah. And COVID crazy, so there's really not a lot of people in there. It's just you. You walk in there, or there's a few people. You walk in there, you walk up to the teller, you hand them your ID, you say you want a cashier's check for some ridiculous amount of money for whatever, and all they ask you to do is what's the name of the account? You tell them the name of the account, and then they give you the money and you leave, right?
Well, to be fair, it was a cashier's check. I told them the name on that I went to be written out to and how much for, and then they gave me my check and I walked out. I remember too, I felt suspect too because the shirt was wrapped around my neck. So when I first sat down, she said, "I need you to make sure your nose stays covered." And I was like, "Okay." And instead of holding it up, I just slumped my head down and stuff. So I felt all suspect with my head tilted down into my shirt and stuff, and I just kept my face like that so my nose stayed covered or whatever, so I didn't hold it up. And so I felt like I looked suspect as shit. Head tilted down, face covered, hoodie on, gun on me, Yeah,
you felt like a fucking bank robber.
Yeah.
But so now you're leaving and you felt like you knew nothing about that was right. And,
no.
And at that point, Ryan, you should be nervous because honestly, like I just said, somebody could have very well have just stolen a lot of money from your account.
Yes.
And so what did you do, right? You use the tools that the good Lord has given you.
Yeah.
You jumped on Instagram and you fucking shamed them, right?
Yeah.
And unbeknownst to you, some Craig from Navy Federal reached out to you. And then next thing you know, you got Wendy or Nancy. What was her name? Whitney
Houston.
Whitney. Is that
Whitney?
Whitney. You got Whitney calling you up and then trying to convince you that you did something that you know you didn't do.
Well, yes, and that's another thing too. I kind of bluffed her, to be quite honest, because she lied and said that she saw me on video, put my card in and pressed my pin, and that's how they confirmed my identity. And I said, no, I fucking didn't. I never fucking do. I was confident in that. And then so she wanted to fucking bluff me, so I bluffed her back. I said, and if you want to, I can show you the video because I videotaped the whole fucking thing. Actually, I also videotaped when I sent my buddy in there with my ID and he withdrew money out last week. That didn't really happen, but I'm not beyond doing that in the future.
You're trying to flex on them.
Oh yeah. And she changed her tone really quickly. And
what did you hope to resolve?
Honestly, I wanted them to figure out, and I still want them to figure out something and change their fucking policy so that both my personal and my professional account and the accounts of all other members of Navy Federal are actually secure because I do not feel confident in the current setup. The way they have it set up is not secure. It is not. I can tell you right now, if tomorrow, if I give you the keys to my truck, I give you this shirt, and I give you my ID, you could drive up there to fucking Morrow, you could go in and you can withdraw whatever amount of cash I let you, and you'll walk the fuck out, and they won't ever fucking question it.
So let's bring it home, Ryan. We're talking about COVID.
Yes.
Okay, and because of COVID, you just had this weird experience at the bank, and it's probably not a onesie twosie, right? It's probably just normal now. You can go in there and you can get money out and stuff like that, right? And you think, so how does that tie in? Try to draw a picture for me how COVID tied into that.
Because people they'll do anything and just do it just because it makes them feel better. It doesn't make them actually more secure. If anything, it makes them less secure. It makes their money or their household or whatever it might be less secure. But because someone said that they should do it, they just go along to get along and don't ever question it. I'm sitting there questioning it, and reasonably so, I feel like. And everyone's like, it's not that bad. It's not that serious. My money in my account and with your credit union is not that serious. If it's not that serious, then maybe I need to take my business somewhere else. But it's just one example. I mean, it's so crazy. Like I was looking at a video today. It was something similar. It was not similar, but a little bit different. So it was
more COVID crazy
and mask related. So there's a business, restaurant specifically that is in Fredericksburg, Virginia. It's called Gore Melts. If you haven't checked them out, check them out. If you can go in person, support them. Gore Melts, I believe I want to say the owner's name is Matt. Don't quote me on that, and I apologize, sir, if I fucked your name up. But I think it's Matt and his wife are the owners of Gore Melts. They posted a video the other day, and they reshot it today, and I was able to see it today. But long story short, in the video, it shows they're talking to an OSHA inspector, and the OSHA inspector's telling them that about their masks and what they need to have and stuff. And he says, okay, well, tell me what this mask needs to look like. If I have to wear a mask, my employees have to wear a mask. What is this mask? What's the requirements? Oh, it has to be 2-ply, blah, blah, whatever. And then in the background, you see another person. They're actually an inspector from the Virginia Health Department, and he's wearing a neck gaiter. And the owner of the restaurant's talking to the OSHA inspector, and he says, well, what about net gaiters? Like, can as net gator fine? And the ocean inspector says, yes, but it has to be a 2-ply net gator. And he says, well, what about the Virginia health inspector right there that's wearing a 1-ply gator? He's here with you to enforce these policies that he's not even following his damn self. And then he said, well, we're not here to investigate him. He's like, well, I'd like to make something along the lines. I might be putting little words in. But
it's a bunch of bullshit.
It's a bunch of bullshit. Like, even the people enforcing the fucking policies from the different government agencies, they don't even follow the same policies they're out there enforcing by blindly enforcing these policies on these business owners, on these people who are just trying to live their fucking lives. And that's how I think it should be. Grown-ass adults should conduct themselves the way that they find best. If they need to wear a mask and gloves and fucking wait in line in front of BJ's, then do so. If you find it necessary, do it, honestly. But why I get pissed and why I make fucking fun of people like that, because they feel like they have to push that shit on me and my family and my kids and whatnot. We don't need to do that. We don't do that. And I don't need you to tell me I need to do that. Just do you, boo-boo.
Somebody I respect in this world once said to me, my liberty shouldn't stop where your comfort starts.
Sounds like a smart bastard.
I think his name's Ryan Gass. But what that means is this, guys, like, you are... Now, don't take this from me, because I kind of waffle a little bit on where I stand. And I'll go to bat for my position, but it needs to be defined a little bit. And
Right.
I'm not just going to blanketly say I'm against masks, but I'm also not going to blanketly say I'm for it.
Right.
And I'll get into that.
Yeah.
But what Ryan's statement there is, my liberty shouldn't end where your comfort zone begins, is this. Ryan should not be forced, and neither should you or I, really, should not be forced to wear an article of clothing just because it makes those people around you more comfortable, right? That is diabolically anti-constitutional.
Yeah.
That's like saying everybody on Friday needs to wear red. I wear red because I want to support the troops that are deployed, and I'll wear red until every one of them's back home, right? And that's just something I do. It's a choice that I make. I'm not wearing red every Friday because the government told me to.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to wear an article of clothing because that's what it has become.
Yeah.
It's not a fucking mask anymore.
It's a fashion statement.
It's a, yeah, I mean, dude, I wish I would have got in on the ground floor of that mask business, bro. You know how many millions of dollars I could have made by making cloth masks? Like, I'm not even going to get into it, but we could have made so much money, brother. But, you know, that's what it is. Now, if we really wanted to police this a little bit better, and if you really wanted society to have confidence in the policy, what you should have done was done a better job of delivering PPP to people, right? Personal protective
Equipment,
PPE. If you could have given everybody, if you would have had mask drop boxes, right, or glove drop boxes or sanitizer drop boxes all around, and you were delivering that to people and actually using real common sense measures and, you know, N95 quality masks. But what you're asking people to do, man, is like literally, like Ryan, he pulled his shirt over his nose and now nobody around him could catch COVID. It's bullshit, man.
Supposedly it's science.
And it's whatever. And listen, man. This topic can really be boiled down into like 3 different zones. And I'm not going to say 2. I'm not going to say mask wearers versus mask deniers. There's a middle ground, and that's where I find myself at, right? You have the mask supporters, the mask wearers who say everybody should still act as if it was March 2020. Everybody should still be wearing a mask and staying home and only leaving if you absolutely need to, right? There's still those people. And then there's people like you, Ryan, who will walk into Walmart without a mask on, who doesn't give a shit, right? And then you have people that are kind of in the middle who don't want to cause a scene. They don't want to get kicked out of someplace, or they're the people that have to go to work, and at their job, they make them wear a mask. Ryan, I think somebody in your family works at a doctor's office. I'm sure that they have to wear a mask when they go to work.
Yeah, they're forced to do that shit. They were forced to, for a little bit, she was forced to wear not only a mask, but one of those face shields for a little bit too as well.
Sure.
They got away from that after about a week.
So, you know, if you have to wear a mask, just wear the mask. You know, our governor here in Maryland has quoted it. It's called he says, wear the damn mask. And I think that everybody was okay doing that for a while, Ryan.
Yeah,
I think
48 weeks ago.
Well, yeah, 48 weeks ago, right? And I think everybody was really comfortable doing whatever it took to help. And then the summer came, and then schools are closed, and then it's wintertime, and, you know, and we're still doing it. And And the people, the powers that be, they've waffled. You know, CDC says wear a mask, and then they say don't wear a mask. And the WHO says wear a mask, and they don't say wear a mask. And you know what the newest thing is? It's like wear a mask, and guess what? Wear 2 masks.
Wear 2.
Why not wear 3?
Why not 5?
Why not 15?
Yeah, why not? What 15? $15 minimum wage, 15 fucking masks. Let's fucking get it.
15 is a magic number.
Yes, 15 is a magic number.
So it's come on, man. You can't and okay, now back up a little bit here. Okay, I'm a scientist, right? I went to school. I'm trained on how to analyze data. In an experiment, you change, like I said earlier, right? You change one thing and then you see what happens, right? So they said, okay, wear a mask. Let's see what happens. All right. Did that do enough or did it not? And did they give it a long enough time to figure out if the mask was really worth it or not? Or, you know, where's the data, right? And that's what I keep asking. But what the news wants you to see, the news, man, what the news wants you to see are the shock values. What do they report more of? Back in the day when they were first reporting, what were they reporting?
Well, back in the day when it was a thing, the deaths. But then now they've gotten away from the deaths. Well, I can't remember the last time I heard them ever actually bring up the deaths or the fatality rate, the mortality rate, or whatnot, because it's not a thing anymore. It doesn't have that shock value. It doesn't really have any value at all. It's so fucking minuscule. All they do bring up is the positive test results. A positive test result doesn't tell me that the person even got fucking sick. All it means is you fucking stuck something up their nose or wherever you fucking stuck it, up their fucking ass, and it came back positive for COVID, which it doesn't even say it can be a false positive. Like, was it next 2 weeks from now? Next week, I think it is. I'm getting my first COVID test because I have to get surgery on my fucking face. I've got nasal passages like every other human being, but mine are 90% full of shit, and they have to go in there and clean that shit out. And that's part of the reason why I don't wear a fucking mask. It's not just because of my politics. It's because I can't fucking breathe. So I'm getting that done on March 12th is my surgery. On March 9th, I get a COVID test to make sure I don't infect the whole fucking hospital and kill off all of Charles County.
Yeah, a few weeks from now, Ryan's going to sound a lot different on the microphone.
Oh, yes.
He's going to have that Barry Manilow voice.
And freaking Mike knows that I can't breathe because he can hear that shit. When he goes in here to edit these podcasts, he's like, God damn, dude, you're fucking breathing. You just got done having sex. And like, it's just like...
Puffing and puffing. And...
I sound like a fucking gorilla on this freaking mic. But I'm telling you, but it just gets so damn annoying, man. It really does.
So... here's my position once and for all, guys. All right. And you could jump down in the comments and you could talk shit about real Mike Bell all you want. But here's my 2 cents. Okay, guys. I wear the mask whenever I go out and I forget sometimes like, oh shit, I get halfway to the door and dang it, I forgot my mask in the car and I go get it. And lately, like, I'm getting tired of it, brother. Like, yeah. I walked around BJ's the other day, man. It's like, if no one's around me, I take the mask off. But my thing is this, man. And a month ago, I did a lot of research on this because I covered it in my other podcast. And what I found was the CDC says at most mask efficacy is around 65%. And that was me pulling a lot of metadata together because they won't give you a direct answer. I had to take the results of several studies and kind of create my own trend. And it's about 65%. Okay. And, you know, everybody wants to live in these absolutes. Everybody wants to say, if I asked you if there was 100%, if it was 100% certain, Ryan, that by wearing a mask, you would save lives, I would say you would probably wear it because it's, you know, 100, it's like this, right? If I told you 100%, if you stop breathing, you would die, but you're against breath. You're going to just stop breathing and die? No, man, you're going to wear the damn mask. But if I told you there was a 0% chance wearing a mask is going to save lives, nobody's wearing masks, right? Because it's absolutely pointless. But at 65%, it's hard. That's not a powerful enough number to convince everybody, right? That's like the election results, right? Did Joe Biden win because he got 60% or, you know, well, not my, you know, it's like, that's just not a big enough value. So this is where I level set, brother. And Rock Nation, everybody listening here is this. If by wearing a mask, there is a 1% chance that I could save somebody's life, and I'll be inconvenienced, right? I'm going to take that chance, man, because it really isn't that big of an inconvenience for me. You know, the mask isn't the most fucked up thing about COVID right now, right? Fortunately, I haven't lost anybody close to me. I've had family members. In fact, a large portion of my family has caught in COVID, but they've all survived. I've been tested 3 times for it because I've came in contact, and I've tested negative every time. But I know that there are people out there that have died. In fact, the day that we're recording this, and it may be different for you guys because we release a little later, but today in the Nationals Capitol at the big cathedral there on the campus, they rang the bell at the cathedral 500 times. One time for every 1,000 COVID, you know, and Ryan, you can dispute this or whatever, but one time for every 1,000 COVID deaths. And so that's 500,000 deaths. That's 500,000 people just right there that have been affected. And every one of those, of course, was born to a mother and a father. You know, so even if 90% actually claim their parents, that's still another million people that are affected. And then you look at their siblings or their significant others or their children or cousins or coworkers or, you know, people that are on their volunteer fire or EMS squad. You know, each one of these people had a story and had a network. That network has been affected. So 500,000 people dying has probably impacted, you know, maybe 10 million people, you know, and that's 10 million of us, of our brothers and sisters that have been hurt by the virus. And that's just the deaths. There are people that are struggling with it at home today. There are caregivers and there are grandmas and grandpas who still haven't met their grandchildren. There's, you know, it's diabolical, brother. And if by me wearing a mask being inconvenienced it's going to 1%, if there's a 1% chance I could save a life, I'm going to wear the mask. And there are some people that I really look up to in this world, man. Like, I follow Andrew Fusella. He's a powerful man. He's very inspirational. You know, that guy is a fucking rock solid figure of what I aspire to be at some point in my life. And he basically calls me a bitch because I fucking wear the mask and I keep supporting businesses that make people wear the mask. And that's just where him and I differ. You know, I don't know, man. I think, you know, somebody could argue that, okay, I care too much for people. And then they'll throw the argument in my face. Well, don't you care about Jack and Diane with their corner market down there that can't run their business because they're closed? Or don't you care about, you know, old boy down here that lost his wife, you know, to the virus? Like, don't you care about him? I think it's pretty fucking real to him. And I do care about them. I care about everybody. And that, guys, is why I waffle a little bit, right? Like, I want everybody to take the fucking mask off and start going back to these businesses. I want everybody to stand up to the man and start saying, look, if you're scared, motherfucker, go to church, right? If you're scared to swim, don't get in the fucking ocean. I want that to happen. But at the same time, I understand that people are dying.
Yeah.
And because people are dying, I'm going to wear the mask.
So if they stop requiring it next week, you'll still wear it? If everywhere stops requiring it next week, you'll still wear it? Because there's still a chance, right? Just because the requirement went away. Or do you need that guidance, that government guidance?
And that's hard. Yeah. It's a hard spot to be in, man.
Not
you know,
me.
And that you called me on it, brother. I mean, I don't have all the answers, and I'm not a perfect man, and I'm not some idol, you know, that I ask people to follow me.
Yeah.
I don't have those answers.
Yeah.
That's a fucking tough question. And, you know, and you asked me recently, Ryan, you said, whenever I was kind of telling you the same perspective here, you said, you know, because I said, if me wearing a mask for a few more months would help get things back to normal, I would do it. And then you asked me, what if you have to wear it for 10 more years?
Yeah.
At some point, I'm going to fucking get tired of it, brother. Yeah. And then, you know what I'm going to do? I'm probably going to get together with a whole bunch of other smart people who could, you know, eloquently articulate their argument. And I'm going to try to petition people to start releasing more information, accurate information that's studied. You know, right now, I mean, look how many billions of dollars have been invested in the treatment. You know what I'm saying? Look how many, again, this is debatable, but we will end up talking with doctors that will agree with us on this. Look how many hospitals have been incentivized to write COVID as a cause of death, or to treat people for COVID, or, because the more people you're treating, the more resources you get, blah, blah, X, Y, and Z, And whenever they killed elective surgery because it's not COVID related, all of these doctors needed to start doing something or else they'd get laid off. So what did they start doing? They started treating more people with COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think these people just showed up with COVID? I don't know, man. I'm not there. I'm not the one writing those papers, man. But, the COVID crazy shit's crazy, Ryan. And you were showing me a story earlier and I didn't get a chance to read it. Hopefully you could explain it to me. But something about people were drinking piss or something like that.
Yeah.
What the hell was that, man?
So it was a news story by Fox 2 Detroit. And the headline is, for 4 days, a woman and her 4 children gulped down their own urine, believing it would protect them from COVID-19, according to city health leaders. So I guess somewhere they saw on the internet, whether, I don't know where they saw it, but I guess they saw somewhere where if you drink your own piss, it'll be safer for you and you'll have a harder time contracting COVID. So that was, the mask wasn't enough for her. She wanted more.
At least she didn't inject herself with bleach, right? Or Lysol.
I remember hearing that thing. I don't know what that. I don't really remember people actually doing that. I just remember the story and stuff, but I don't actually remember people actually. Yeah,
the story was, back during all of this craze.
Oh, that was a joke that he said, right, or something.
It depends on your perspective, but the way that I heard it and read it, it was a joke.
Yeah.
But it was another instance of left-wing media taking something that our former president Donald Trump said out of context.
Yeah. No one actually did it.
Do you think one of the fucking most wealthiest men on this planet, a fucking real estate mogul, and you haters can jump in the comments and say, man, he made his money off the backs of immigrants and he's a piece of shit, racist, scumbag, motherfucker. Y'all can say all that shit you want. You can't take away the fact that he's been very successful. Mm-hmm. And he could if he chose to today, he could never work another day in his life and still have more money than any of us would ever make in our entire lifetimes.
What's that saying I've heard? You can call him what you want, but don't call him late for work.
That's kind of misrepresented there, right? You call him whatever you want, just don't call him late for dinner. That's the thing. Anyhow, he said, okay, Lysol does a really good job of killing the disease. Why don't we inject people with something like that? Well, it sounded stupid as shit, but the truth of the matter is I'm assuming, Mike here, just being a normal person, just right of center, I'm sitting there thinking, what if there was something they could just run through dialysis and add this, whatever the hell it is into your system and it would kill the virus? Wouldn't that be awesome? I'm pretty sure they call that something, Ryan. I think it's called a vaccine. You know what I'm saying? But, that's neither here nor there, man. And we could get into the vaccine stuff. And guys, Ryan's made this connection with somebody very close to him that is big on the vaccine conversation. And just for your guys' awareness, we will be bringing in guest hosts to speak at times, and we will have an upcoming episode about vaccines. So we're not going to really get into that on this episode,
right.
But stay tuned. That is coming. This very well could turn into a Resident Evil / I Am Legend situation.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of really cool clickbait out there if you want to go down that path. But let me feature something real quick, Ryan.
Yeah.
This is an example. You could call this one of two things. You could call this an example of heroism, or you could call this an example of straight up punk ass bitchism. Okay. There's this guy, his name's Robbie De Niro. He's from upstate New York. He owns a company called Athletes Unleashed. All right. Guy's a badass. All right. And he's a veteran. He's just a beast of a man, and he owns this gym up in New York. This guy, you guys can find him on Instagram. Okay. It's just at Athletes Unleashed on Instagram. He's a beast. All right. But he has actually sued Andrew Cuomo and won. He is taken to court. He doesn't shut his doors, right? He continues to let athletes come in and train. He doesn't make anybody wear a mask. He doesn't do anything like that. And guess what? People aren't getting sick, right? And he, there's pictures on videos on Instagram. You could jump in there and check them out. But, the health department people, they'll come in, they'll try to shut him down, and he fights them. And he says, no, this isn't a law. This is something that the governor made up. It's not constitutional. And he's actually fought them, and he sued Andrew Cuomo, and he's won. And during that lawsuit, Andrew Cuomo sued him back. And guess what? That case was dismissed because there were no grounds to stand on. And so let me just tell you guys something, man. If you are out there and you think that this is a bunch of crock of shit and you're tired of the COVID nonsense, and you want to just get yourself back on track and get your business back up and running, I support your right to do that. All right. But when I come in with a mask on, don't make fun of me. Okay. Because I'm still doing something I think works. All right. I think that the masks are preventing the flu from being spread. I think the masks are preventing the COVID virus from being spread. I really do. And even if 90% of the, even if, 50% of the population stops wearing masks, there's still 50% of us that are. And that's still a 50% less likely chance that COVID is going to be spread. And I know that there's some probability functions included in that because it's 50% of 65% at most of efficacy. But let's just, cut to the chase here. At least we're doing something. All right. Now, again, if you're Jack and Diane with your corner store and you're about to go out of business because you can't get enough, you're at 25%, you're only allowed to serve 25% of your normal customers. Ask me what I can do to help. I'll continue to support locally. Ryan mentioned earlier, we've got some really cool stuff coming out for our founding members. I tried to shop that locally. That's a tragic story, Ryan. Actually, I want to tell you about that.
Yeah.
But I'm trying, guys. I'm trying to do my best to help out local businesses. I want you to stay open. I want you to thrive. But at the same time, I know that COVID is a thing that is killing people, either indirectly or directly. And I'm going to continue to do my part to save that. Now, I think it would be really stupid if we had to wear masks for the rest of our lives. For God's sakes, I hope the vaccine works. I hope we get herd immunity. I hope everything falls in place, man. But until then, I'm not going to live in terror. I'm just going to keep doing my part,
Absolutely. I don't know, man. I can't wait for this shit. Like I was honestly hoping that, they were going to pull the whole bullshit. And hopefully I think they will still, but it'll come sooner than later. But where they whole Joe Biden solves and cures COVID and shit, and they let this shit slide after about 2-3 more weeks and stuff. But we'll see. I guess they can't do it overnight. It'd be too fucking obvious. But I'm hoping by June they give up this bullshit and they move on. And I don't care. I'm not gonna believe it either way. But hopefully they just give him the credit for it and just fucking move on. I don't give a shit. I'm just tired of it.
All right, guys. So we are coming to a wrap here on this episode. First of all, thank you for tuning in. I want to hit you with 8 quick things to leave you with. I want you to think about it. And we will be coming out with another COVID episode. It'll be COVID episode number 2. It's coming out pretty soon. So stay tuned for that. But the 8 things I want to leave on that we'll start on the next episode are these. These are some conspiracy myths. Could be conspiracy, could be myths, could be something, could be truth. But I want you to think about these. 1, the virus was engineered in a laboratory in China. 2, COVID-19 is no worse than the flu. 3, you don't need to wear a mask. 4, wealthy elites are using the virus to profit from vaccines. 5, hydroxychloroquine is an effective treatment. 6, increases in cases are the result of increased testing. Okay. 7, herd immunity will protect us if we let the virus spread through the population. And 8, a COVID-19 vaccine will be unsafe. Those are the 8 things we really want to get into pretty soon. As you know, Ryan and I like to kind of go all over the place, but we're certainly going to touch on those things. And we're going to talk about a little bit more COVID-isms. So with that, guys, that's it for me. Ryan, where you at, buddy?
Hey, guys, this is not our first nor our last discussion on COVID. So I need you all to make sure you hit that subscribe button. Find us on our website,
Our podcast website, ROC Podcast Nation.
Yep, find us on there because we're going to be talking about this more. We're going to be going on to different subsets of this topic. And as this bullshit situation continues, we'll be able to provide you updates on everything that's going on as well. Like I said, It is what it is, and that we can't do without your support. Find Mikey. Find him on Facebook and Instagram. His is Real Mike Bell. You can find me, Ryan R. Gass. And again, find the ROC podcast.
That's right. Check it out, guys. www.rockpodcastnation.com. Fill out the subscription information there, guys. We are not going to spam you, okay? We're not going to sell your information. That shit's not going to happen. What we're going to do is alert you when new podcast episodes are released, when new blog articles are released, right? And that's going to be your one-stop shop for premium content when that is released, okay, guys? Head over to the website. Subscribe to that shit. That's going to be your sole source of truth for this podcast. Find us on social media. Find Ryan at Ryan R. Gass. That's on Facebook and Twitter and his MeWe stuff. He's all over that. Find me at Real Mike Bell, and we're going to find you, all right? Hold yourselves accountable. Get in the comment section. Start talking to each other. Make this a nation of everybody, all right? Not just me and you talking, not me and Ryan talking to you guys all the time.
Stay strapped or get clapped.
All right, gentlemen. All right, ladies. All right, Rock Nation. We are out.
Deuces.